I've been an over-the-road truck driver for 40 years now. In the last 40 years, I've seen a lot of changes in the industry, but probably the biggest change I've seen have been in the wages. When I started 40 years ago, truck drivers were upper middle class wage earners. Today, because the wages haven't kept up with the cost of living increase, truck drivers are low income workers to the point that many have a subsistence living. Part of our mission here at Smart Trucking has been to lobby for better driver pay. Recently we received an email from a fellow named Pat Hockaday who had the same goal in mind. He emailed us a paper outlining a pay theory or formula that he was proposing, that he'd drawn up, and we had a look at it. We came away impressed. Not only was it a good idea, it was obvious to us that Pat had put a ton of work into this. Let's have a look at Pat's idea. There are two premises to Pat's theory. The first is that truck drivers work by the hour and they're governed by the hours of service. If truck drivers have to work by the hour and they're governed by the hour, they should be paid by the hour. The second premise is that if the driver is away from home, if he's with the truck, the driver's at work. The driver's at work for the whole time he's with the truck, whether it's driving down the highway, waiting at a shipper's dock to be loaded, or waiting overnight at a truck stop between loads. That driver is at work the whole time he is with that truck, 24 hours a day if he's with that truck. Let's have a look at Pat's formula. The minimum U.S. wage is $7.25 an hour. So new drivers would start at $7.25 an hour for every hour that they're with the truck. After 125,000 miles experience, they get another 50 cents an hour. After 250,000 miles to 375,000 miles experience, they get $1 an hour more. From 375,000 to 500,000 miles, they get another $1.50 on top of the minimum wage for every hour. From 500,000 miles to 1,000,000 miles worth of experience, $2 a mile more. And for guys over the 1,000,000 mile mark, $2.50 an hour more for every hour they're with the truck. On top of that, for every hour, if they're pulling a dry van, they get another 10 cents an hour. If they're pulling a reefer, a little more difficult, 20 cents an hour. A tanker, more difficult still, 30 cents an hour more. Or a flatbed, the most difficult in Pat's opinion, another 40 cents an hour more on top of the $7.25 or whatever mileage experience that driver has. So let's look at a few examples of Pat's theory now. Here's a new driver, $7.25 an hour base pay, pulling a dry box for another 10 cents an hour, so he's at $7.35 an hour. Let's say he puts in 300 work days a year, 24 hours a day at $7.35 an hour. That driver's made $52,920 that year. That's for a new driver pulling a dry box. That's not a bad wage. That's up considerably from the $25,000 to $35,000. Here's another example. Here's a driver with 400,000 miles experience. So he's at the minimum wage plus $1.50 an hour. Pulling a tanker, another 30 cents an hour, so he's at $9.05 an hour. He works 24 hours a day, for 300 days of the year at $9.05 an hour, this tanker driver has made $65,160 that year. Let's have a look at a third example. Here's a driver with 800,000 miles experience. So he's at the $725 plus $250 for his experience an hour, $9.75 an hour for his experience, another 40 cents an hour pulling the flatbed. So this guy's earning $10.15 an hour. He works 300 days a year at $10.15 an hour, 24 hours a day, don't forget. This driver has earned $73,080 for the year. That's a pretty fair wage for that driver. Bear in mind then that for the average driver that works on a 7-day shift, a 7-day shift is a 168-hour shift. So he's being paid, he's on the clock for 168 hours a week before he resets. What should be noted here is that what Pat is proposing doesn't impact him at all particularly. He's an owner-operator. This formula is simply for company drivers. And he's petitioning OOIDA and NATC and others simply to try to help his fellow drivers with no return for him at all in this formula. This, in a nutshell, is Pat's formula. Now there's more to it than that. There's more involvement to it than that when he gets into resets and that type of thing. Driver reform is long overdue and badly needed in our industry. Change like this doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen with enough support. We need everyone on board for this. Share this video with your friends, with your family, with other truck drivers. We need your input and we need your comments. We all know that we could stand a more equitable pay system. Let's get together on this. Everybody send your comments to help us fine-tune this thing. Pat's working on it day in, day out. We need your support. Let's all get together and get ourselves a pay raise.